And it's oftentimes when you're dreaming big that the people around you think that what you're doing is ridiculous and get ridicule and things of that nature. And it's being able to have a dream that's so big that even during those times of ridicule or anything that's not going your way, that you still have that dream to connect to. And if you stay connected to it, you will achieve remarkable.
What if there are things we never had the opportunity to learn? We've all been to school or training, but there are things they never taught us that actually make a powerful difference in life. I'm here to share with you all the pieces you've been missing: mindset, health, success, and more. And we'll all learn together from guests along the way. We may not have learned it the traditional way, but oh my goodness, let's keep learning how to do things differently. OMG, hello, my friends. I am happy to be here with you again today. Now, today's episode is pretty cool. I am going to be talking to a husband and wife duo. They are known for being in the fitness industry, as in bodybuilding events and expos, which is just a world that, for myself, I can't imagine, but is quite fascinating. And they have taken that and created something that is really powerful in terms of happiness and mindset and the transformation that comes from inside. And they're doing it with humor. And you know I love to laugh. So Jeff and Mindy are joining me today, and they will be talking about their book series, The Ridiculous Universe, which is a 9-part science fiction humor series. And this came out of their work in the Fame World Tour, which was a global initiative about natural body transformation through fitness events. So they have a fascinating background, and I am excited. Let's dive in. Okay, so welcome, Jeff and Mindy. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm looking forward to this for sure. Yes. Okay, so this is OMG Teach Me, and we're talking about things we never learned in school. So first question, what is something you wish you had learned in school but didn't?
That the thoughts that you think are yours to control, that thoughts matter, and that even though you think them doesn't mean that that's what you have to abide by and follow. You have creative control of your thoughts, and taking control makes a difference.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I feel like that was like a little mini episode right there. That's right up my alley. But Jeff, tell us what yours is.
It would have been on two things: mindfulness, just understanding that, meditating, taking a breath, doing a breath break, throughout the day, things like that. And more emphasis also on how to make your body function effectively, meaning things on nutrition, things on moving your body, things on flexibility and stretching. They were only a tiny, tiny component. And I know over the years, I don't think that phys ed is as big of a deal as it was when I was in school so many years ago.
Yeah, I agree. And I do think it's still kind of being discussed that kids need to be more active and all of that. And yeah, the little lesson that we maybe got with the food pyramid or whatever, it wasn't quite as much as you're describing, right?
Yeah.
Well, I like to ask that partly because kind of that's why we're here, but also because it's always an interesting lead into how you ended up doing what you're doing. So how did you end up doing what you're doing now? And we're going to talk about that in a minute, of course, but is there a story behind, how you arrived where you are now?
There's a huge story.
There's a huge story. I'll start on our background together. So Minnie and I have been together for over 25 years. And what we did is we really pioneered what's known as the natural bodybuilding industry and fitness model events. And we ran hundreds of events and expos all around the world, produced TV shows, published magazines, and really gave people an opportunity to visualize what they could turn their physique into, to step into their own superhero, provide them with tools or strategies on how to get there, and then to use the stage as that unveiling, as that goal, to take them on that journey. And the stage acts as both a motivator for them and an inspiration for others. So we did that for many years. We positively impacted millions of people through the things that we did. But what we found is that although we thought people would become confident and happy and fulfilled and in their most healthful state, we kind of found the opposite of that. And we decided, well, a number of reasons put us on the pathway to say, we need to change the way it is because we don't feel passionate about spreading the message the way we're doing it. And there's got to be a better way. And that kind of has brought us, to where we are now. It's been over 10 years on a journey to find ways to course correct and provide a different way to allow people to truly love better how they think and feel and act and look and function and dream and provide pathways for that.
Very interesting. And I remember reading the book Psycho-Cybernetics, which you may or may not have read, but he was a plastic surgeon, and he wrote about how he could change people on the outside, but it didn't always change them on the inside. It was a separate thing. And I feel like that's kind of what you're saying, that we can get healthy and get fit on the outside, but there's more to it, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
That being fit goes beyond strength and appearance.
Yeah.
It's about mental and emotional and social and functional health too.
Yeah, fully agree. Well, now let's take this a little bit farther, because what stood out to me with what you're doing now is that you're using comedy as an entry point. And I love laughter. So tell us more what this means, comedy as an entry point.
Well, when you are laughing, you typically are in the moment. And if you're in the moment, then you are in that place where creativity can flow, or ahas can be really discovered, realizations could happen where you can truly rethink. And that happens at a time when you're in laughter, when all these amazing chemicals are being released in your body. And all these amazing things are happening. And depending on how much you're laughing, you're massaging your internal organs, you're doing all these amazing things. So, since we first went out to the market and said, well, let's create transformation in people, and at that time, all we knew was the physique end of it. We said, well, let's do it more where we can, through laughter, also embed like these thought-provoking messages of empowerment and self-love and self-growth and wellness. And maybe during that laughter, you'll absorb that more and you'll have that aha. So it was, let's take it from a different standpoint, because everyone laughs and everyone can smile. It costs nothing to smile. Or to laugh, and it's something that anyone could do.
We figured we would embed these meaningful messages that we've learned from all these years after we decided to course correct and figure out, okay, so what else? What is it that's going to help people love themselves? What is it that's going to help people self-develop? So we spent all these years through Fame, the events that we were putting on, and afterwards, and we've gathered and are gathering all this information that is like these little nuggets of wisdom that if everyone knew that, it could start them on a new path towards happiness, healthfulness, confidence, and all those things. So we thought, okay, so let's take all these meaningful messages and embed them in this book that Jeff was already writing. He started it as a teen and embedded in this book that's humorous and a fictional story, but just to get people to rethink and unlearn and then thrive.
Yes, I like that. Rethink, unlearn, thrive. So, and maybe laughter, we kind of take our walls down, for lack of a better way to say it, right? When we're finding something funny, it becomes more laid back. Maybe there's something to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Mindy, since you mentioned the book, you have written, it's one book so far, I think, but it's going to be a series. Am I right about that?
You are correct.
Okay. So The Ridiculous. So tell us more about the book / the series, why you wrote it. And I know it's a fictional story that is funny and also meaningful, as you just said. So tell us more about that.
So Jeff started writing this as a teen, and it was, first of all, he loved writing, and second, he was like a crazy teenager in some respects. He had wild, ridiculous adventures, let's say that. And third, he was inspired by The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which was a style of humor that he really liked. And in that series, they were also embedding these messages in it using humor. So he wanted to keep this going, and he did. And he started writing this book while he was in his teens that was based on his ridiculous adventures as a child and or as a teenager.
I came back to it throughout my career. So whenever I needed my own pick-me-up or do something fun, I go back to the book. And then when the world changed a few years ago and everything shut down, Mindy, inspired me to go back to completing a passion project that I never finished. And together with her help, because Mindy had a lot of experience with editing and with more developmental editing and sort of that technical structure, so she helped me complete it. It's really cool because we took all these really amazing lessons that we've learned and are continuing to learn. So it's a 9-part series, so you were asking. The book 1 is already out. It got great recognition on Amazon, hit #1 in a whole bunch of categories, including humor and science fiction and happiness, which is really cool. And book 2 is in the final editing phase. Book 3 is being written, and this is a 9-part series that also is an audiobook, and we're producing it into an animated series too, an adult animated series. And the continuity program of it is a 3D immersive virtual space that people can engage in and take different actionable wellness steps, and get rewarded for doing these good for me things on an ongoing basis. So the book has a place for people to keep going on their journey of transformation.
I love that. And listeners, I will make sure that the links for the book and for their website and everything are in the show notes. So never fear, you'll be able to find it. When I sat down to talk about hormone replacement therapy with naturopathic Dr. Gina Nick, that was episode 73, I didn't realize that not only would I learn more about that topic, I would also learn about an easy way to detox and supplement that can even help with hormone balance. Dr. Gina developed Best Daily Ever, and I have been enjoying them ever since we taped that episode. I'm not going to say no to antioxidants and nutrients, including glutathione, that support my immune system, energy, hormone balance, and overall wellness. Find Best Daily Ever at www.omgteachme.com/recommendations and try them for yourself. So this is really fascinating because I'm such an analytical person that the idea of having this fictional story that is funny and also teaching something is just so creative. I'm impressed because I don't have that gene. Can you give us an example of maybe a little bit of part of the story or how you work in these life lessons that people can learn from?
So it's basically all Jeff's imagination. It's his story. And at the beginning, I would go in and layer in kind of some messages based on the story he already had. And then once he started getting really into it, let's empower people, let's use all these messages, he started doing it too. So now we just keep layering it in. And with each edit, you can add in kind of another line, or you can read the book and then realize, later in this book, we can refer back to that and enhance on it so the message becomes more embedded. So it's you plant the seed in one spot and then you keep watering it until it grows. And so that's basically how we have been doing it.
Yeah, and people that we are continuing to meet who are experts and educators and innovators, their story, their messages may become embedded within the book too. Or we're thinking forward on, what are some of the specific themes we have in the book and who should we connect with, to introduce, as a character or as a lesson or something that's fun, and then relate that, back into the online community, into the festival and the virtual expo area and all these different things so that people can have that aha if they have it. We wrote it in such a way that if you're not open to it, it's just a funny joke line, it's a funny story. And if you're open to it, then you'll hear that message. And because we wanted to keep it subtle so that we're keeping the sense of this is a funny story. It's also a story that helps make mental health more approachable. Here's a laid back way that you can step out of your everyday and go into the world of imagination. Science fiction, so many people have different views of what science fiction is. But the biggest point for us of a takeaway from it is that science fiction allows this world of imagination to come through. Anything is possible. Same with fantasy. So our book kind of, is between science fiction and fantasy, but that's just because we had to choose a genre for what it is. But it's really just a fun story that's using imagination in just really weird ways. And it allows, you to infuse that right message, and if someone gets it, they really get it. And a lot of people have told us, reading the story pulled them out of, sort of a dark space, or someone really, that line was so great and I do that now, or I never thought of it like that. So that's cool.
Yeah. And such a different way of doing it that I do think it would be attractive to people. Low risk, fun. Yeah. I think it's brilliant. As you were saying that, I was thinking you have your tagline, I guess you might call it, dream big, do ridiculous, achieve remarkable. And when I saw that originally, I was thinking, I'm always telling people to go for a bigger dream and just let yourself daydream about it and don't put any limits on yourself. And so is that kind of the idea when you say dream big, do ridiculous, achieve remarkable? Or, where were you coming from when you kind of created that?
Yeah, absolutely. Most people don't even dream. So let's get to that stage.
Sure, yeah.
Okay? And then to dream big. And well, what does that mean? How big can you dream? Can you dream bigger? And it's oftentimes when you're dreaming big that the people around you think that what you're doing is ridiculous and get ridicule and things of that nature. And it's being able to have a dream that's so big that even during those times of ridicule or anything that's not going your way, that you still have that dream to connect to. And if you stay connected to it, you will achieve remarkable. Mm-hmm. In some way, you're going to transform yourself, those around you, or achieve, that unique talent or skill that you have. You're going to achieve something really, really cool. We noticed it when we ran the physique competition. So someone who is going to transform their body and step up now on a stage in like a bikini in front of their friends, their family, their peers, social media.
While wearing high heels.
Well, yeah.
Good point. I'm like getting the shivers thinking about doing that. Woo.
And for men, you're wearing like a Speedo type bathing suit, and you're on stage and you're posing and you're doing all these things. That's ridiculous, for most people to think what you went through. But they had to envision what they can look like, what they can make their body change into, what they could sculpt it. And if they did that, they achieved something remarkable for themselves.
Yeah. And it feels like, and I can't remember how you said this, hanging on to that dream, maybe sort of, it feels like the challenge typically, besides creating this big dream, is then holding on to it when your outside evidence in the world doesn't agree with your big dream, right?
Right. It's like also a deeper meaning to believe in yourself and trust your intuition and maintain that, because what other people say, it goes back to what I said at the beginning, your thoughts are for yours to control. So what other people think about you, it doesn't really matter. Use their ridicule to guide you and go, oh, so they don't understand what I understand, or they don't see what I see, they don't get what I know, and then use that as, that's why I got to put it out.
There's a quote, if everybody is thinking the same, then someone isn't thinking. And it really is that the people who achieve things that are remarkable, who dream big, are doing something that other people aren't doing, thinking in a different way, which makes people oftentimes feel uncomfortable, which often makes people feel jealous, which often makes people feel like a whole bunch of different things. And unless the dream is big enough and is believable that it can be achieved, then it's easy to get swayed and give up.
Yes. Listeners, pause, rewind, listen to that part again. So true. And I think we hold ourselves back from a million things in life because we have an idea, but then it seems like it might be difficult, or it might take a little bit of expense, or it might take some time, and then we don't do it. And if it's, you made an excellent point there at the end, if it's not exciting enough, or we're just we're not, so into it that we'll do whatever we need to do, then it just goes by the wayside, right? Powerful. Okay, so I love your viewpoint with the book and just in general with what you're trying to do. And I know the listeners will as well. So if we could sort of put all of this together, one of the things that you also talked about when we were chatting before was just the concept of mindfulness when it comes to living well. And so we're talking a lot about our thoughts and our dreams and creating these goals, but what do you mean by mindfulness as well?
I mean, from my perspective, it's being able to know that you have a choice to always choose the type of response you have. There's like this moment between the stimulus and the response, and you have like a teeny fraction of a microsecond there, but you have the ability to make that choice, and that's what you get to choose. So I think it's being able to know that you have control over your thoughts, that if you are feeling that you're not feeling in balance or so, that you can pause and take a breath break, take 10 deep breaths and bring yourself back, or you can do a meditation. And a lot of people think meditation means you're sitting zoned out somewhere at the top of the mountain, for hours. But a meditation could be, a minute or less. It's that ability just to stop and pause. What Mindy says, is put your mind to your heart. Stop for that moment and think of something that makes you smile, that makes you feel happy. If that simple lesson was taught in school, imagine how many fewer fights, how many more happy people, how many more people would be able to get on with their life in a more effective ways and make proper choices. So that's what I mean by the mindfulness.
Yeah, and the reason I like to ask that question is that I think people mean all different things when we talk about mindfulness, but that's a great way to put it. I think of that as react versus respond, right? We have to get our brains to pause if we want to actually respond and not just react there in the second. So how did you say, or how did he say that you say it, Mindy? Take your mind to your heart, or the other way?
Yeah, focus your mind to your heart. And so you focus on something that feels good. And when you focus on something that feels good, you actually make yourself feel good. Mind to heart and heart to dreams. And so here you're putting your heart to your dreams feel good. But remember, dream big and then follow through. Do ridiculous and achieve remarkable.
And that was a perfect little wrap up as well. If people are wanting to connect with you, find out what you're doing, connect with you online, all of that, tell us how they can do that.
Yeah, the best thing is go to doridiculous.com, and all of our links are there. You can get the book, you can sample the audiobook. The audiobook is really funny.
Perfect. And I will have that in the show notes for sure. I love it. Okay. Well, then that brings us to the last question. And that is a song, or maybe I'll allow you each to have one. I don't know. I don't know what you have in mind, but for the nostalgia playlist on Spotify and Amazon Music, tell us a song that has good memories attached to it or a feeling of nostalgia for you.
I'll go with Best Friend by Queen. It's the song we actually had at our wedding.
I love that song, and that's different than what anyone has said, so that's fantastic.
I will go with the very same song because it was played at our wedding. It's our song. And he's my best friend. That's what it is. That's our life.
I love it. And every couple wants to be able to say that, so couple goals as well, right? Jeff and Mindy, thank you so much. I do think this is going to be an inspiring episode for our listeners. And I love the conversation we've had really about the power of our thoughts and how it's the whole person that needs to be involved in what we're doing. And let's add a little fun and humor to it as well. So thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode. OMG, make sure to follow OMG Teach Me in your favorite podcast app so you get all the goodies. And if you're just finding this podcast and you're kind of wondering where to start, I have a curated mini series for you to help you stop self-sabotaging, because we all do it. So head over to www.omgteachme.com and sign up when you get the pop-up box. We may not have learned all these things in school, but they sure are powerful now.